Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So I brought along Dr. Marion in case you had any questions for her.
There was a lot of testimony today about, bilingualism, multilingualism. For people at home that maybe haven't been able to watch all of your testimony, what to you are perhaps some key takeaways about the way that we process language, especially when we speak multiple languages?
Right, so I was asked to review research evidence on language and mind, language and memory, and how learning a second language changes the mind and changes how the brain works and changes how people think. So I stayed close to the evidence, to the research evidence, talking about consequences of bilingualism for the brain, for cognition, and for language.
And you were saying it could be something that you said that was interesting is that the languages almost run in parallel in your brain.
Yes. Yes. So there is this misconception that when you use one language, you turn the other language off. But in reality, your brain never completely turns off the other languages that you know. Languages are being processed in parallel and interact with each other, and your brain has to constantly control the activation of the different languages and facilitate the language we are using, like we're using English now, and inhibit control competition from the other languages that people may know.
And I just will say the takeaway from the testimony is that even if a person has what you or I would consider a conversational ability to speak in a foreign language, that doesn't mean they understand everything. There's defects, deficits. I'm not going to compare it because I'm not the expert and I didn't ask this question, but it would be sort of the equivalent. You could certainly have a regular conversation with even a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old, but that doesn't mean they would have the same sophistication to either understand or respond to a question on a more sophisticated level of somebody who is, has an advanced degree. So the purpose was to allow the jury to at least understand that for all those hours that Michelle Troconis was being interrogated, she had a medium level proficiency, which would at least suggest some level of misunderstanding or lack of accurate communication and recitation during hours of questioning. Hopefully it was at a level that the jury could understand it. I hope it was.
John, for weeks, folks have been asking whether or not Michelle would testify. We got our
Well, now you know, okay? I'll just say this. There were, 7, 8, maybe 9 hours of Michelle Troconis, some of which were played more than once. There is nothing she could add that she didn't already add in those hours of questioning. If we put her on the stand, what was she going to say? Well, in the first interview I was correct, in the second one I made a mistake. All of that is now out, and the jury can take it for what it is and decide whether it was mistaken, misunderstanding, or, as Dr. Loftus testified yesterday, implanting of false memories by the officers, which I at least suggest there is evidence of.
What's the emotion like today? You guys wrapped.
Well, I can't say it's relief because we're not done. Now we're at the point where we have to file by this afternoon our proposed jury instructions. I have to get Dr. Marion back so she can catch her plane, and I'll be back this afternoon just to work with my colleague, Attorney Felsen, and file something before the end of the day. These are, in every case, the lawyer files jury instructions. The judge has to decide which ones he or she is going to use in the course of the case.
One quick question. Do you know how many exhibits?
You've already gotten your limit.
I know. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Just a few more days of this. How many exhibits were actually shown over the course of the trial? Do you know?
Well, actually, I just took my list and put it in my briefcase, but I think the state's exhibits are close to 150, and I got up to, I know, letter CCC, triple C, so that's 26 times 2 is 52, plus 3, see, I'm speaking another language right now, 55.
And what about number of witnesses total? Do you have the exact?
Remember, it was highly unusual for the same witness to come back multiple times, sort of like some of the lesser characters in a Shakespeare play. So I couldn't even tell you how many witnesses actually testified, but there is a list in the clerk's office if you want to know, but you'd have to subtract it by the number of people who came back multiple, and I say multiple times. So, all right?
Thanks,
Take
John.
care.
John, thank you.
Bye now.